over other jihadist groups, and it needs those fighters to survive. The caliphate was losing ground, so it was losing that narrative, and it needed something new to keep that going. So first they tried to expand abroad. Libya, Afghanistan, Yemen, those efforts all fizzled. In the summer and fall of 2015, ISIS found its solution by launching mass terror attacks against civilians abroad. And this helped the group portray itself once again as on the march, but then Europe faced a big problem in how to deal with these attacks. Because the hard truth is that most of these attackers aren't foreigners, they're not refugees or migrants, they're actually European nationals. And you can't just close the border to keep them out if they're actually from Europe. And a lot of them are people who went and joined ISIS or other terrorist groups, so-called foreign fighters. And now that ISIS is losing territory, those fighters are coming home and they're bringing their battle-hardened experience and skills with them. Then these are really hard problems to solve, rooted in socioeconomic problems and grievances that go pretty deep in European society. You can't solve this with bombs or with border closings. So what now? It seems likely that as ISIS keeps losing its territory, it's going to become something like what it was before, when America was fighting the Iraq War in the mid-2000s. Not a state, but still an insurgency and a terrorist group capable of doing terrible damage abroad.
Okay, so basically what they're saying is these guys are already European nationals, so you can't keep them out. They're already there, right?
Yeah.
So what do you do?
That's bullshit.
Yeah, it's bullshit, but what do you do? How do you stop them?
Well, you got to root them out.
How do you root them out? Do you go to the mosques and just say, hey, you guys are here in the mosque, get out?
No,
I mean, that's not right.
I think that you have to, number one,
what you have to do, you have to go to
refugees.
The main. Well, I'm not a military expert, but what I believe you have to do is they've got main groups in certain areas, and number one, we need to improve our intelligence a lot. But they know where a lot of the main guys are, and it's little guys like this, 3-5 guys scattered all over the world. But that's not. They're funded by
George Soros.
Two different places really where they are in Syria and
well, hold on a second. Let's back it up a little bit, Pops and Jay. You both mentioned that they're funded, that they're in small areas. Pops just said that, and Jay, you said, well, they need to stop inviting refugees. Well, hold on a second. Clearly, this gay dude that was just talking on the YouTube here was talking about how they're already in these countries because they're nationals, they're citizens of these countries. Now, go with me here.
Who have joined because of a lot of our foreign policy.
They joined for whatever reasons, but how do you snuff them out? Here's an interesting theory. Okay, instead of saying things like, "Oh, we need to have better intelligence," or "We need to go to the mosques," or "We need to close the borders," or "We need to have different foreign policy," how about this? How about, and I've heard this theory. It's not my theory. This is something a guy in the Navy told me, a friend of mine. Okay, and he did intelligence back in Afghanistan when he was in the second Gulf War. And he told me that he hated his job over there because, he didn't hate it, but he hated aspects of his job because he had to listen to intelligence. He was listening to cell phone conversations, monitoring emails, talking to people, and all he did was listen to these people to go back and forth. And he said that, he told me that, we got in an argument, and he corrected me. And he told me, listen, the more we talk about closing borders or snuffing them out or going to mosques or banning Muslims or this, that, and the other, they're just going to piss off the ones that aren't terrorists, okay? And there's a lot that aren't, whatever. And we can argue to the end of time about whether or not the Quran teaches fucking terrorism or whatever.
Yeah,
but
I agree with that.
Now, if you stop right there and you quit offending these people, if you will, in so many words, then maybe they'll open up and they'll take it upon themselves to snuff out the fucking bad ones. And now you got the good ones working for us, with us. That's the only way you're really going to
solve the problem. To get the good Muslims to say, hey, these bastards are making a bad name.
What the fuck are you coming to? Is there a resolution?
What I'm trying to say is that there's a bigger picture than voting for the next president. Whether it's Berntards or Hilltards or Trump tards, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and anybody with a fucking stick and a sign, whether they're protesting the other guys, you're a jackass. Go back to work. Go home. Go do something.
Yeah.
Or the ones that are out there flashing their signs on the sticks saying, go vote for this person or go vote for that person. Shut up. Nobody cares about who you're going to vote for, who you think I should vote for. Nobody cares about your fucking protest. None of that's going to solve anything. Just go back, go work, go do something, go take care of your family, you know?
Sure.
And the real big picture is to not be so judgmental of an entire because
Muslim
they're already
community.
here, dude. They're already in Brussels. They're already in London. They're already in New York. They're already in Dallas. They're already in Tampa. They're everywhere.
Already in Newport Richie.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we had Syrian refugees live in studio a few fucking months ago. What did we do? They became jihadists.
Kevin,
you know?
our legal department said not to mention.
I'm sorry. Yeah, my bad. But you know where I'm coming from. So I mean, that's just one more little aspect of it.
Yeah,
you know,
it's funny you mentioned that too, because a couple of weeks ago, actually no, it wasn't a couple of weeks ago. It was actually a couple of months ago. I was coming back from drill, and the route I take to drill and back happened to bring me past the mosque that's right up here up the road, and there was protesters up there, and I stopped because I was curious, like, because I didn't know there was a mosque right there.
Yeah, there's also a synagogue right by the mall.
And so I stopped them because there's all these people with American flags and, you know, all this protesting going on. And so obviously I was like, what the hell's going on? And yes, not every Muslim is bad. I've known a lot of people a lot of interpreters actually, who, you know, they really want this violence to stop and they need it to stop.
Yeah.
But, you know, and one of them, who I only know him as codename TJ, really nice dude. He, you know, what his dream was
What?
to come to America and join the circus. Yeah, that's what he's like. Oh my god, I love the circus. It's fantastic. It's amazing. The talent, this and that, whatever. But whatever. So, he's like, you know, there's an easy way to, you know, to determine the good from the bad with anything. Is
Now
you have your extremists, you have, you know, your regular, you know, what, you know, it's, I mean, there's extremists with whatever you've got.
Yeah.
But if you ask someone, like, do you condemn those who do these terrorist acts or they commit these...
The Quran teaches to lie about whether or not they condemn it so that it can continue. Yes, I condemn this. It is bad. I do not believe in this. And
But
then,
you studied the Quran, huh?
no, but I've heard about it on TV, so I know it's true.
I've read like half of it.
So let me ask you this now. This is where I'm coming full circle here. This is where my point is. Now you get all these people that are like the millennials especially, and no offense to your age group, Danny, okay? But
No.
But you know, you get all these people now that are out there, like they want their safe spaces at college. They want, you know, not to offend people. They want everything to be politically
Get the hell
correct.
out of here.
Yeah. So what happens? We get all this BS now about white Christian gun-loving males that are, you know,
Get the hell out of here with that crap.
exactly.
Racist or
So now,
bigots
so how
or
do you
what?
find the bad Christians? Do you befriend or be nice to a bunch of white Christian gun-loving Americans to hopefully they'll call out the bad ones? Like, I'm going to go to church on Sunday and say, "Whoa, that guy over there in the corner, man, he's going to fucking shoot up a movie theater."
I don't
You
like
know what
his
I mean?
shorts.
Yeah, it's bullshit. That's my point. All of it's bullshit. What you got to do is you got to not be politically correct. And if you're a TSA agent or if you're a cop or if you're just a citizen getting fucking coffee at Starbucks and you see somebody that's, you know,
Shady as
Or
hell.
a
or
cab
something.
driver.
then you call it in, man. Call it in.
Call a cab
Nobody
driver
calls
or a
anything
cab
in,
driver
man.
with taking three guys.
A
with
fucking pizza
suitcases.
guy, dude. You know how many times I called stuff in as a pizza guy? I made friends with a couple of police officers in Tarpon Springs when I was a pizza guy 15 years ago because I didn't want to get a ticket for running through a stop sign, okay? But then I learned that it's not about me not getting a ticket running through a stop sign. It's about me, you know, calling something in that was legitimate. Like, dude, that guy's a piece of shit. I'm calling him in, you know? And
Well,
I did
that brings a really good point to...
That's what I
There's
did.
a difference between being a civilian and a citizen. If you know any difference about it, like a civilian, just, I'm innocent, I don't care, whatever.
Yeah, that won't affect me. I'm not going to deal
Yeah,
with it.
a
And
citizen-
then your fucking bus station blows
A
up.
citizen
you
actually
know?
cares.
Well,
You
yeah,
know?
dude.
They
you know?
respect their country, they honor their country.
People need to
and
take it upon
they
themselves,
actually care.
man.
You know, a citizen is always the ones that have the, you know,
Now,
the citizen watch.
am I
all that
am I
stuff.
blaming us now for not stopping the Brussels attack? Am I blaming citizens for not stopping it? 3 dudes with suitcases pushed into a fucking airport in Brussels. Nobody said anything. Nobody screened them right, and they blew up a fucking airport. Now, is that somebody's fault, or are those guys just slick? You know what I mean? There's just so much to talk about that you can't put the blame on anybody.
Any way you think about it, though, I mean, anything that happens, it's always a matter of something can slip over someone's head no matter what.
Yeah, well,
anyone can catch something. Anyone can miss something. Though.
What you're basically saying is we are only as strong as our weakest link, and I don't care where you are. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you're in Brussels, Syria, America.
In the military is like when we used to do company runs.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. We'd have fast guys. I mean, like.
Are they Kenyan?
Like Ethiopian, like like they can match a cheetah in speed.
Racist.
And I hated them. Because I used to hate having to follow them because I can't keep up. I can't.
Yeah.
But then you got, 270-pound Joe Smo in the back. You can't keep up. We'd have to circle around, catch them back up, and run again.
Pick them up.
You have to be
as strong as your weakest link.
One big unit. That's it.
I heard that about you.
That's always it.
You always wanted to be with one big unit. Yeah. What? What'd I say?
But yeah, I mean, there's so many different things. Like, even when I was in country, there was things I could have probably caught. There's things I probably missed. Everyone can do better. Everyone has to be at that state of awareness.
So I guess the original question, what do you do? How do you stop it? There's no answer, and that's why they've got us by the balls. So what do we do?
I wouldn't say by the balls, because as many people as they have and the resources they have and all this propaganda and all this fear that they're trying to put into people, they don't, like, people forget too, how many veterans do you think we have, not just in this country but in other countries? How many people like me who have firearms, have the training, have the intelligence to pick up things? I mean, I'm never without a weapon.
Well, what are you going to do? You gonna shoot somebody you think might be a terrorist at an airport?
No. There's no shoot first and ask questions later. You have to have positive identification.
And then
you have to make,
boom, blown up.
So, but there's the like with me, I'm never without a weapon.
You got one right now?
Yeah.
What is it?
You don't know.
So you're without a weapon then?
No, I'm not. But anyway,
I got one.
So that's fine. You don't need to show me. That's a knife, but okay.
It's a U.S. Army helicopter knife, dude. It's
anyway,
awesome. Look at that. That's
you can have armed citizens that are when I first joined the military, one of my first squad leaders, and it stuck with me for till now. Like every day I think about it, and he said one of the best ways to defeat terror or to defeat bad men doing violence is good men willing to commit violence against them to save people they care about.
Right.
So there's always going to be people to fight the terror. You can't just focus on the negativity. You can't just focus on there's Brussels. It's a horrible thing that happened. 9/11, everything bad that's happened. You can't just focus on that. You have to think about the progress that we've made.
Yeah.
There has been progress. But, you can't always they're going to destroy the world. They're going to, kill everybody. Or
what do you think about people that equate a terrorist attack like what happened in Brussels yesterday to a school shooting or an isolated event in a movie theater or...
I think it's unfair to compare it to anything.
I agree,
It's not fair because, any incident that costs someone, an innocent, especially innocent person, their life... It's unfair to compare it to anything.
I look at like a movie theater shooting, and I don't see that as being the same. It's not like somebody that shoots a bunch of people in the theater, which is tragic and horrible, but it's not the same as somebody blowing up in a terminal in an airport. You know what I mean? It's completely different.
Well, you got different motives. You got different
but these
weapons. You got different
But there's these millennials out there, and there's that are like, oh, it's not just the Muslims or the jihadists, there's white Christian Americans that do far worse. Look at the Crusades, and there's this huge argument.
Crusades.
I know.
You're talking about the Crusades that happened like over 500 years ago.
Yeah, and